the inventor of the Clever app, two-time Stanley Cup champion, someone who, does get to play in a market that mattered and won. Kris Versteeg, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Well, I hid my cat in the closet, so hopefully he doesn't come out and bother us.
Yeah, except for, cat's just in there.
Yeah.
Please, let me out. Yeah.
So,
It really, really bothers you that much, the cat? Like just being around?
it's just like I get in the flow, and then all of a sudden he's in my ear. So, don't call animal services on me.
No, nobody will. I don't know if you heard my little diatribe there
I
about
did.
Bertuzzi, but I know you started slow with the Leafs and then you heated up. But how much does it weigh on you playing in a place where there is that much attention and you're one of the guys. People want you to succeed. They expect you to succeed. Man, I suck today. I've like tripped over my own words like 4 times. But what is it like being in that position? Because you've done it.
It's hard. You come into this, well, again, you know how I've kind of used the Doug Gilmour. No one ever thought I was Doug Gilmour.
Yeah.
And then they get Doug Glatt, essentially. That's kind of the way I talk about my time with the Leafs. When guys come in, they come in with high expectations. The media, the fans, they have this way of building theyese players up to something they're not, but not actually understanding the value they bring at what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying Bertuzzi's playing great. Domi, Klingberg, you can kind of blanket it across those guys. But what happens is, again, myself, very similar situation. You come in, you have a weak start. So I had 2 points in 11 games. A narrative starts to build. The media starts to create a narrative. The fans start to create a narrative. And then it becomes almost unshakable. And then when the media jumps on it, I'm going to throw Nick Kypreos under the bus with myself personally. All of a sudden it's like Kris wants a trade. Kris doesn't like it here. Kris this. And then all of a sudden one turnover turns to this. And I watched John Klingberg the other day, and it's like, well, he does a soft wrister, and he must not now want to play here because he took a one-footed wrist shot. It's like these narratives start to create, and that's the problem with the players is, okay, you are now – they're not playing great right now. I don't think they're playing terrible either. It's similar to myself. I wasn't playing good at all. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the next 30 games, I have 30 points. And I'm kind of trying to use this as a bit of a benchmark compared to what I think these guys can do too. That was never really talked about. Mm-hmm. Everyone remembered the terrible start, someone keying my car, spitting on my car, and then they don't really remember what you're doing because the narrative has been created about, this guy comes here, he doesn't want to be here, then the media jumps on. And that's where I get scared for those guys, is when the narrative starts to spin and the news starts to cycle, and then one little micro mistake becomes magnified. So again, let's look at John Klingberg. I could look at multiple parts of his game, defending. He's got happy feet. I think that's just because who he is, and he's not being coached great right now. We don't need to go there. But I just think the narrative starts to spin. It starts to build. And even when the guys start to play well, the wave is so high that it's coming crashing down at some point. So the pressure is big. You're coming into the biggest market in hockey. You got to understand that it's hard to deal with. I think it's when the excess BS starts to compound and even things that aren't true start to make its way into the stories. And no matter how you're doing, doesn't matter because the wave is essentially not turning back the other way. And there's a lot of athletes. Now, some just continuously don't play well. Some can't handle that pressure. Some don't want to handle exactly what you're saying. I still think that these guys are figuring it out. They're finding their way. And I hope when their games start to turn, Bertuzzi's game is going to turn at some point. He's got to get again, a little more simple, figure out where Keefe wants him, essentially. I see his minutes are getting back up, but where he needs to be successful on the ice with these top-end guys, he's going to play at Tavares and Nylander and then Matthews, and he's going to go up and down. But that's kind of what he is. He's versatile. But what he's got to do is just, again, get back to being simple, playing hard, get gritty, and do what makes Tyler Bertuzzi successful. And when that happens, he's going to want to see that, now they're jumping on his side, you know? And, it's like this wave of negativity isn't coming crashing down even when the tide starts to turn, essentially. So I think those guys are fine. You talk about Max Domi playing center the other day. Max likes to play center because he is a creative guy. He likes to control the puck in the center of the ice, the middle of the ice. And I think that's why you saw him play one of his best games. I still don't think it's the solution going forward if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, because I think Max is that guy similar to Bertuzzi, in and out the lineup, up and down the lineup, left, right, center. They're Swiss Army knives, essentially. Bertuzzi doesn't play center, but they can kind of go up and down and give you different looks. So I think that helps Max. It helps Tyler. But again, just building their games, building the confidence. And as the year goes on, when they do well, essentially build them up. That's the biggest thing. I'm not looking for handouts for these guys or whatever. I just understand on the personal side what it was. Like it's hard to dig back out of that in a market where hockey matters so much. And if a narrative gets creative, it's hard to build out.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying about with Bertuzzi is it feels like it's on the precipice of that. I just think it's hard, and especially right now with social media and shows like mine, and I do this as well. So I'm not pointing fingers at people. It's just you live.
Well, you have to. We get it. But
it's not even that I have to. It's just like I try to get better at it every day in terms of the balance of it, of not trying to ride the roller coaster as much, right? But I do feel as though there's so much emotion tied to this team right now, and the expectations are so high. And there's some people who just want to say, I told you so, they're losers, and I hate watching this. It's like a lot of things in our world right now where we try to make sports just a nice, easy escape, but it can be as polarizing as a lot of things, which is frustrating because sports are pretty stupid, and it's supposed to be mostly fun and for kids. And the rest of us adults that are kind of still swimming in it, like me, that are trading and get upset about some of the opinions, it drives me crazy when I catch myself doing it. But yeah, I think with this team, especially, you see the potential of them because of the high-end skill, and you think about what was promised, let's say, with this group, the promise that they had, the hope that this fan base had when they first put them together. And all these things are tied together on a night in, night out thing. And this is what I worry about with a guy like Bertuzzi. I'm not saying it wasn't hard for you. Of course it was. It was a pain in the ass. I didn't know somebody keyed your car. You never told me that. That's an interesting new little factoid. But you're the kind of guy who would have, Stegalicious as his vanity plate. And so it was probably,
my plate.
yeah, I was going to say that it's probably easy to pick you out. You might have just been because the plate was douchey. But yeah, it really, when people go play in the parade after a win and then they go, oh, cancel the parade after a loss, I think it does bother some Leaf fans still because the way the fan base reacts from game to game sometimes is so intense. And so if you're Bertuzzi, it's just that's it. I wonder if that part of it has shocked him a little, is the pressure within the group, the way that the coach handles it when things are going wrong, and then just how quick the spotlight shines on you and how hard it is to get it off. And you talked about, hey, he's got to keep it simple. All right, that's what Keefe said too. I get it, but if you're him, you came here and people go, hey, you're making $5.5 million under a real capped out team. You got to score 30 goals and you got to be one of the nasty players. But then he's taking penalties and he's not scoring and he's not having a positive impact. And it feels like he has to dial back the parts of him that make him special. And then he's playing with two guys that Nylander's a good playmaker. Tavares can set up a teammate too, but both guys are right now shoot first, right? Nylander likes to hold on to the puck for long periods of time. Tavares likes to put it towards the net when it touches his stick. I don't know if it's a natural fit for Bertuzzi either. So it's a lot of things that seem to be working against him right now is all I'm saying.
Let's go back to the emotion and the fan base and what they can be mad at. I think that's what feeds into Bertuzzi, and it is my question. Has this team over the last 7 years ever played with a ton of emotion?
Sparingly.
Sparingly. Start of the season, Austin Matthews, we talked about it, that emotion when he was screaming, and again, he did it the other night. He's asking the fans, please stand up.
Yeah, he's been great.
I just scored a goal. Please stand up.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a little bit of between the team and the fan base. Like this team goes out, Austin Matthews scores a hat trick, half the team building's not even standing. I've always wondered if that piece could play into the emotion of the team, and that piece for a guy like Bertuzzi, again, you go back to that. Let's go back to that Boston play in itself, right? Like that can't happen. When something like that happens, your team needs to be ready to pounce. The guys don't need to be ready to fight, but as a team, you need to come in and defend your player, grab the guy, and act like you care, have that emotion. Bertuzzi, that is everything about his game, is the emotion. So back to me thinking is how much is it being tempered by the staff? So I don't know. How much does Keefe want him just to play hockey? Or is he still trying to find that balance of what Keefe wants in his emotion dedicated to the game and playing the line? We all want to play the line, but he's a guy that needs to play on it, to play extremely well, similar to Bunting. It's hard to control, so maybe Keefe has some PTSD with Bunting and sees similarities in Bertuzzi.
Yeah, that's a
but
good
if
point.
you're going to get the best out of this kid, you need to play with the emotion. So those are little aspects where I wonder, it's like, well, why is Bertuzzi not doing anything in that instance in Boston? Well, maybe it's because the coaching staff has asked him not to play on the line, which he still doesn't quite understand what the line is with Keefe. You know what I mean? And then if you look at the entire team, you know, emotions never really been the top guy's strongest suit. You know, they've never really jumped in for guys. I think that's something that I would love to see if I was ever the coach of that team. Not to say they got to fight, but just show they're there for each other. Like
they built this team with that in mind. Like it has to be a part of it. Like
I agree.
This was such a big part of what Tree Living did.
So, but again, what's the disconnect? Is it Tree or is it the coach to the team? Because the coach has been here for a while now, and that's never seemed to be the case. Like
he
that
was
emotion.
Vocal. He was pretty vocal. He's like, they held a team-only meeting. They voiced their displeasure with it. He went publicly to the media with it of what was I can't remember the quote exactly, but it was something like, we hated everything about it, the response. So I got to feel like there's no disconnection with Keefe and Tree on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, what's the line from Keefe to the player then? What is, because you as the player still need to understand what exactly the coach needs. You need to be super specific on, here's my line. One guy gets touched, you're all going in. I don't care. We will kill the penalty. Have they been told that? Probably not. I would assume, because if it happened and everyone knew the line or knew the understanding, I would assume they would all go in that instance. Again, back to Matthews, begging the fans to please stand up. Heck, I'd probably be begging that too, because you watch some games and half the crowd's still sitting down. So the emotion to me is kind of twofold. Is it the coach? Sometimes it's the crowd. Sometimes it's the team maybe not understanding it. And sometimes it's maybe the team sleeping. I mean, that might be threefold. So I don't really know what it always is. I just look at, okay, what's been the constant? It's been the coach, same coach. New GM brings in new players. We bring in, let's go back to other guys in the past. They bring in certain players to try to bring up the emotion or the toughness or the skill. That never, ever gets put into the team. They never, you know, again, let's go back to Clifford, one dumb hit. But guys like that get brought in to create emotion, to create hardness, to do that. And it still feels like they were never utilized to do that. So again, back to Bertuzzi, same thing. What is the line? What do you want me to do? How much emotion do you want me to play with? What is that? And maybe, again, Keefe does have PTSD from other players in the past. I don't know. But that's where I start to think and then I start to look about it being, you know, a player that's played in the past.
Yeah. You know, it's tough too, though, because you've got a coach that people really are quick to criticize. Again, I've done it too. Haven't been the biggest fan of Keefe. Was surprised that he was brought back and thought that pretty much it seemed anyways that one of the major reasons that Keefe did return was just a lack of options. That there just didn't seem to be another coach that was an obvious fit for Toronto. That they were late in the game when it came to their GM search. And I do really believe that had Dubas stayed, he would have replaced him as coach. That they would have had to have something different, and that would have been one of the easiest places for them to do it. I think it was harder for the Leafs to do, given their position of there was there was some instability after Dubas left. There were people that were Dubas guys like Spezza who left. There was some infighting within the organization among some people, and I thought that it was a good look for the organization that Tree Living and Keefe could sit down and just have a shared vision. I understand that. I understand them bringing him back, especially Tree and his first time here. And, you know, you got to get to know everything about the team. You come from an outsider and you really don't know everything about this team until you actually see it for yourself. So I understand why Tree kept him. And like you said, lack of options. Yeah, there was really nothing. Yeah, but where I was kind of going with it is Keefe One of the things that has driven me the most crazy is I feel like he treats every regular season game like we have to win, we have to win, we have to win. And routinely, one of the things that seems to bother players the most is when the lines are just always in a blender and you don't get to create chemistry with a line. And you feel like maybe I didn't have the best chance to to do this properly. And I would guess that that's rubbed some of these guys the wrong way immediately, right? Like if you were Bertuzzi and you signed here on a 1-year deal, and it was with the idea that you were going to get a shot with Matthews and Marner, and then you're pretty much ripped off that right away. Now you're with, like I said, two guys that it doesn't fit you as well. You're seeing Matthew Nyes play better than you, but do exactly what you were kind of hoping to do, which is go fish a puck out of a corner and then have some nice touch in front of the net and play with a little bit of nastiness on the forecheck. Just, yeah, I could see how that's tough.
I don't mind Bertuzzi carrying his own line, though, like a third line. And understand he got $5 million. You need you need 30 goals, yada, yada.
Yeah.
You need depth to win a Stanley Cup, too. I don't
Sure, but he wants to get paid, man, and that's going to be 13 minutes a night.
Wow, you could find him
with no top power play either. You've talked about this before where it's like guys need that power play time. He's on PP2. That
could be, again, have a third line. You could move him down again. I know Nicholas Robertson got his first chance, but you can still sparingly spot him to find him extra minutes in the top six here and there when Marner and Matthews go out after a penalty kill, Matthews and Tavares and Nylander go out after a penalty kill. There's always there's always minutes where you can find guys these guys extra offensive times or ways to get them extra minutes. You're right about the money side. That would be tough, but winning side, that makes sense. Like put them on a third line.
But you got to have guys bought in to win, right? That's the thing. I can't imagine that this guy's bought in right away. And this is, again, what I'm talking about with the Keefe conundrum is he's going, guys, I want us to be attention to detail. I want us to get out to a good start. I'm going to do these things to win because if we're winning, that will take some of this pressure off. If we're doing things the right way, then we won't have the media eye of Sauron just boiling on us. The fans won't be pissed. We won't have the same Twitter narratives about us. So I get why he presses to do these things. But in also doing that, playing the short game, not the long game with a lot of these guys, I wonder how it does impact the buy-in. And the one big positive I can say, and this is, again, a last night thing, is Matthews just seems like he's on a totally different level, not just from his health standpoint, but the attitude seems to be better. I don't know if you caught the post game. I didn't send it to you. I probably should have because, who did? But I don't know if you saw it on Twitter this morning. But, man, they got booed after the first intermission. And then Matthews was asked about it, and he went, yeah, that's fair, rightfully so. But when he was starting to gesture towards the fans again, he said, I didn't want them to go to sleep just yet. Speaking to kind of your point. And I love that. That's what I want from Matthews is just the overwhelming attitude that bleeds through the rest of the team, that he becomes the true leader. And maybe it doesn't have to be through the rah-rah speeches like some guys. Like everyone can lead in their own way. But yeah,
let's go back to the booing part a second.
Yeah, sure.
Because just 2 seconds.
I love booing.
Yeah, booing's great.
Yeah, booing's
and
the best.
Matthews is right. They deserve to get booed. But if you're going to boo, you better stand when they score.
100%.
That's it. And the fans don't support on that side. Not everyone. There are some.
Can't believe we let you in the alumni box.
I know.
Yeah.
But, hey, last year, playoffs, same problem.
Yeah.
You guys are down by 2 goals. Not one person was standing in the entire building. Mm-hmm. Not one person. These are things where if you're going to boo, then when it goes the other way, you better be cheering. And I love when Matthews, again, hyping up the fans. Get up. Stand up. You're going to boo us. You better stand when I snipe.
Yeah. I love it. I really do. If they can take that attitude, the FU attitude, I think it's great. The only thing is that us against the world mentality works until things start to go against you, and it becomes an easy thing to blame. Right?
You don't want to go against your fan base at all.
I don't think it's against the fans.
I
think it's, against the world where it's, hey, nobody believes we can do this, and people give up on us quick, and even people in our own building will just start to boo us and quit on us early, give us a chance kind of thing.
Yeah, like the fan base booing this much is a little wild because they're doing it based on expectations and where they are. I understood.
Well, they were down 4-1.
Yeah, for a first period, and they're playing like junk.
Yeah.
But the Kings, same thing. They're booed. They're booed in a couple games now. Mm-hmm. But I understood more when we were getting booed in 2010 and Agos were flying past my head on the ice. Totally
God,
get
I
it.
love that.
Yeah, we were junk. But this team's a good team. So there's going to be instances where they boo, but support when they're doing well. Really support when they're doing well.
Yeah. I think the tough one, too, though, is looking at it right now. I'm pretty sure this is the case that the Leafs have given up at least 4 goals in every single home game. Yeah.
They're defensively, they're a mess.
Yeah, but that's it.
And
Could you just
look at the
imagine you're
goals.
paying that much for these tickets and, you get excited. It's Tampa Bay. You bring your family. Okay, you couldn't even afford it, right? You were begging people for free tickets to go to the Blackhawks game because it's $1,000 for you to take just the 2 boys and go down, plus maybe a jersey. I feel sick sometimes for people when the Leafs just dog it out of the beginning. That's why I love the booing. I went, good, boo. At least booing is some energy. At least you're doing something rather than just sitting and then going into the Platinum Lounge and getting yourself a $13 beer after you got your selfie, right? After you got your picture from your seats of, ooh, look how nice my seats are. I got my status symbol. Okay, cool. Time to check out for the rest of the night. Good. Booing is something. Booing is an emotion. I agree with you that it needs to be louder when things are going right. But God, it's tough when this team does the dog it thing at home like they've done so many times this season. But you mentioned they're a mess defensively. They're missing guys. They're going to get McCabe back. It's not like he was playing great before they lost him. Obviously, Liljegren's going to be out for a long time. Do you see internal improvement with this group? Like what needs to change?
Well, so that first goal, if we're watching it, where was it Kucherov on that one-timer? You're watching Klingberg, you're watching him back in, his head's turning, his feet are everywhere. You watch the other defenders, same thing. Guys are coming at them on rushes, and there's too much thinking. There's just too much thinking and not enough understanding. Okay, when there's like a 3-on-2 rush, what is exactly what I need to do? And they just look lost on those fine details of the game, whether it's defensively, they go to this, when the puck starts to move up top, then all of a sudden they go to a bit of a man-on-man, and then guys get beat, and they don't really have big, strong D that can box guys out. So that man-on-man style down low, when they get to that hard man-on-man, when the puck comes up top, they try to go back down low in the O-zone, to me, is not suiting them well. It doesn't suit them well, so structurally there, but also, again, off the rush. What are we doing defending? Like, is our weak side D staying in the middle of the ice, or is he attacking the strong side puck? Meaning, is that D going to go at that attacker, and you're going to hope that your back checkers make it back in time? So there's different strategy that goes into it when there's rush chances against, right? Your D need to know exactly, is our goalie going to give up the shot, or are we going to take the backdoor pass? And in those instances, to me, when you see D's feet crossing over and looking around and they don't really know, to me, it's just they don't know the details. Or maybe they're not used to what this coaching staff exactly needs from them. I get there's new players coming in and out of the lineup, but that to me shows players that don't fully get what they need to do in those circumstances. And it's the happy feet. He's crossing. Like you're assuming the rush. You shouldn't be crossing over, Like you should be understanding exactly, okay, am I taking the guy driving the net? My back checker's taking the wide guy, or are we shifting over, right? You should be in one. You should be synchro and understanding what you need to do. And again, that first goal and multiple chances off the rush against tell me that some of these guys aren't on the same page, or maybe they don't understand the exact details of what they need to do in those circumstances.
Well, the guy that comes to mind, though, when you're talking about that is Klingberg, right?
Yeah. I watch all of them. Riley's doing well, and Brody gets it. These guys have been here for a while. Klingberg's new. You see it, and that's where I wonder what, do they know exactly what they need to do?
Well, how much longer before you start to give up on that?
You can't give up on Klingberg.
Sure, but I mean, give up on the idea that it's going to drastically improve.
I think it improves 100%. I think it improves. You just got to, again, back to Klingberg, say defensively, or these new guys coming in, stay within yourself defensively. Stay within yourself. What don't you get right now? When you're on this 3-on-2 rush against, what don't you get? So again, I think that's a conversation. He's never going to be the best defender in the world anyways. You understand that? You do got to hide him at times against certain matchups. You got to get him into power play or offensive zone situations. I also kind of think with all him going in these situations, it has freed up Riley to do more, and that's why you're seeing Riley offensively do well. But for him, I don't think you just got a ban and everything. You just get him super focused on what he needs to do. Hey, this is what we need you to do offensively. But, I think that to me always bothers me a little bit on, do they know exactly the details of what this team wants in these scenarios?
How tough is it on a team when you're playing in front of a goaltender who has been shaken?
Samsonov?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say shaken seemingly psychologically, or who's lost a lot of confidence.
Yeah, you can't put him back in the net right now. That's just one thing. You got to just ride Wall. You got to ride him. Like Samsonov was sideways on the one.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, he's not even in his net.
The first one's just atrocious. It's just,
like Hedman's shot. That was the first.
Yeah,
first
Hedman's was the first.
Yeah, that first one, he's not even in his net.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the one I'm talking about, where Klingberg, defensively didn't know where he was going, it felt like off the rush, and then they slung it wide side for that one timer. He's sideways.
Mm-hmm.
It hit him kind of, and it goes in the net because he's sideways. He's not even square. And then, Kucherov gives that 1-1 where, Hedman does a great way to draw him out and then hit him backdoor for that 1-. I don't know if you can always fault him on that. They're going to usually make those plays and shots, but you can't start him. You can't start him. You got to go to Wall. Try to ride Wall until he figures it out.
What does that do to the room, though?
Well, you play better in front of guys you trust.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you make more plays. You're more confident in your team. You're more confident in, if you make mistakes, someone's going to be there to back you up. That piece breathes so much confidence throughout the team. If your team knows that you can't give up a shot, think about the Oilers right now. They're a mess. 19 shots, their first 3 shots against go in one period. Your entire team changes how they play. Again, they start becoming less creative because they're, if we give up a shot, then we're screwed. You essentially got to outscore the other team's shot, that type of mentality. And that, to me, is a bad recipe if you're ever going to want to win a hockey game, whether it's the Oilers, whether it's the Leafs, whoever it is with these goalies that are not giving you a chance to win. Hey, maybe throw this in there. What do you think of Dubas right now? How's he doing?
Oh, I mean, it's fine. That's it. This is the thing is I for them, it's going to have to be some kind of a real material change. But I will say that the crowing that we were doing at the very beginning of the season, in terms of Dubas is just some of the guys that he brought in, they look pretty good. Like from what I've seen, Graves is nice. Wish that he was a Leaf. It's fine. We'll see. Is what I'm saying. But here's what you can tell. Here's what you can tell. When
they're
people
in last place, though.
but when people are not talking about them, I think that's the best sign of where this market is at with the breakup. Like, it's not really a thing. It's not a thing until Pittsburgh goes in the playoffs, and if they make the playoffs and actually makes noise.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
But I don't view this as like a Dubas thing, though. Like, the writing was sort of on the wall with Pittsburgh being an aging team and an old team, and the big swing trade, I think, was a fine one given where they were at with the timeline. Like, I don't know what else they were supposed to do.
Like, when he went to Pittsburgh, it was like, Billy Bean's here, making magic happen. Look at them. Stanley Cup contenders, boom, last place.
Can I say, though, it just feels like this season, everybody except for Boston and Vegas sucks.
Yeah. I can kind of agree to that.
Like, are there any teams that you're watching where you go, and sorry, I should throw Vancouver in the fun, good teams.
Colorado. I know they had
but Colorado just got spanked.
Yeah.
I watched them lose to Vegas, something stupid the other night, like 7-0, 6-0. It just, I'm sure, yes, Colorado will be fine. Canucks have been awesome. Dallas has been good. But in terms of the teams that I feel like are awesome, like to the Pittsburgh point, I just feel like Pittsburgh, they dead last, but dead last by what? A game? 2 games? But like, what are they removed from catching up and being first in the Metro? 4, 3 games? It's just everybody's
3 games.
Yeah, everybody's just mediocre trash. Oh, actually, they're further back than I thought. The Rangers are first with 17, and the Penguins only have 8 points. I thought they had more. They got no loser points.
Yeah, and look at the Atlantic too.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's just it. Is like when we're talking about firing the coaches, it's like, well, okay, how many teams are firing the coaches by November 7th? It's just there's a lot of teams that want new coaches in the NHL already. I don't know.
But I'm not looking at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Edmonton.
Yeah, no, Edmonton's the main one.
Goalie is to me it's the one team right now that needs a shift in coaching is Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
They just need a new voice to come in. I don't know if there's something, psychologically between the goalies now and the coaching staff. There could always be that, like, oh, these coaches don't trust me. I let one in, I'm out, which is true because that's how I would operate probably. But Edmonton, they need a goalie. ASAP. I don't even know where from. Pluto?
No, they're screwed on that.
Yeah, and they need a new voice. That team, to me, I feel needs something, and they need a refresh, a restart.
And goalies just are going to hate Jack Campbell forever for this because he screwed the market on these guys so bad. This is just one of those deals where anybody without an immaculate long track record is just, you're not getting paid. Connor Hellebuck, fine. You can get your money, right? Vasilevsky, fine. You can get your money. But anybody that's coming off of the, like, I was thinking about this yesterday. So far, Tree Living's, you could make the case that so far, Tree Living's best move as Leafs GM was not giving Samsonov a contract.
Yeah.
Like that's the goalie they got that finally won them a playoff series that was stellar for them all year long, making sure that he was on the 1-year deal and that you've got a quick ticket out of town. That's it. That was the sharp move. That was the good play.
That could also be playing into him a bit too. Like, as a player, as a goalie, it becomes hard to operate on 1-year deals.
Sure.
And especially as a goaltender in this market, I'll defend him there. It becomes very hard to operate on 1-year deals. Some guys play great on the last year of their contract knowing they're going to get paid. That's different than just playing on a 1 year. That's like a Nylander right now. That is way different. Playing on your last year of a big contract knowing you're getting bank again and you're going to ring it up a bit than being on 1 year, and then the stress compounds and builds up. So there could be that playing into Samsonov too.
Yeah. He played great the other night. I thought he was terrific against Boston. You had the almost 40 saves, really kept them in it for long stretches.
Yeah.
The Tampa stuff is like you've been pulled twice against one of your biggest rivals. I don't think that, he's going to get the net. He has to play a bunch this week, like when you said they can't throw him in. No, but
it's consistency.
Yeah, but that's it. It's just I think that we're going to have the highs with Samsonov still. I can't imagine how this team ever really gets back to the point where they're trusting him to be the game in, game out guy. And if you told me, hey, today, who do you think is going to be the goalie when it comes to playoffs? I already think it's going to be Wool. Like, unless there's an injury, I just think that he fits the team. He's calm in the net. He's big. He makes the easy saves, like the ones you need to make. He doesn't give up the backbreakers the way that Samsonov does. And to me, that's just going to fit this team. And that's what it's going to be going for. But I think you're still going to see a ton of Samsonov, especially with the schedule.
Yeah, you got to get him in, but just for Wall to start to understand, hey, I think I am the guy.
Yeah.
You start to build that mentality into him now.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's just, he's also had some health stuff, and he hasn't played a ton of games. And as solid as he's looked this season, it is going to be interesting to see what kind of workload he can handle and what he looks like if he struggles for a couple of games, right? Like what it's like if it hits the fan for him a little bit. Anyways, we got to run. You got to go. Thanks for making time today, buddy. Again, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, inventor, creator of the Clever app, which you can download for free wherever you get your apps. Kris Versteeg, thanks for making time, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
See you, pal.